Criminal-minded, you've been binded. Looking for a style like ours, you can't find us. Shout out to KRS-One. You know, people will find all sorts of things to do. You'll have a person on your left side who'll say, you know what? I can take that person's strength and I can put it into this person. You have a person on your right who'll say, you need to sit back down and mind your business. Then you have another person who comes in who'll say, let's put it all together. It was a family of 5. The oldest son, who had voices. People would come in spirit to talk to him. But he got scared and he would drink and he would smoke and he would do all sorts of things to block it out. So his gifts left. Another son was gifted in so many different ways. But he too decided to find things, smoking, drinking, all sorts of things, to close off his gifts. Now, he didn't realize he was closing off his gifts. He was blocking out the pain that he was feeling. But you see, when you have pain, when you have fear, the last thing you want to do is shut it down. Then you had a twin set. This twin set was supposed to come together, but they use the twins against each other. When you use twins against each other, should they ever come together, there's a certain energy that God will definitely place in between. And they can connect, choose to connect or not. But let us not forget that oldest one. The oldest one was gifted, but that oldest child did not. They didn't know all the gifts that they had. So they focused on their children. If they were to tune in, they would realize that they were given certain gifts, and those gifts were to help those around them. Now, they already have that. Honestly, we all have the gift of being able to help all the people around us. The problem is how do you help them? Do you guide them with your hand? Do you guide them with words? Do you help others because you feel compelled to help them through your heart? Or are you trying to be a part of a group where you're going to be a taker? You see, we've all been gifted in different ways. When you have a family that comes together and they have different children or even adults, because the children, of course, eventually become adults, when they have certain gifts and they are tuned in, tuning in, you can just meditate, pray, and ask for guidance. That's tuning in. But you're going to need that quiet time to be able to make certain connections. A lot of people don't make those connections because they have a fear of tapping in. You see, everyone that's gifted doesn't realize that there's certain things that you need to do in order to make certain connections. When you watch the movie Ghost, you see Whoopi Goldberg was afraid of the gift. She didn't want the gift. But once she finally accepted it and she relaxed in it, it was a lot easier. We have a thing of, we as human beings can sometimes fight so hard against what we ask for. You see, there was a group of people who were asking God to send someone to them to help them. Send someone, Lord, we need help. And when God sent the person didn't look like what they would have expected the person to look like. So instead, what they chose to do, was to ostracize the person, make the person feel uncomfortable, make the child feel inadequate. But God had another answer. So while that child slept, God spoke to that child. God had certain individuals in between come and spend time with that child So when that child became an adult, there were certain things that were already, certain seedlings that were already planted within. You see, we might know a person all our lives, or think we know a person all our lives, and then we realize we did not know that person. We didn't know that person because what we did was we constantly spoke to that person in inappropriate ways. We constantly looked at that person as unequal. We constantly made that person feel uncomfortable. And when you do things like that, God will make sure that that person still receives the guidance that they need. You know, a lot of people like Ben Vereen and that whole Marvel group. And it's because a lot of those things that are happening, you know, certain people have certain gifts or whatever. You know, in society, people say, oh, this is impossible, that's impossible. There's an Asian girl who does this dance where she doesn't even touch the ground when she's doing this dance. But it takes a certain inner strength that she's connected with in order for her to do it. Now, somebody might say, all of us can do that. That's no big deal. But you have to have the tenacity to do it. You have to have that internal belief in yourself to be able to do it. A lot of people, when they don't believe in themselves, how are they supposed to be able to accomplish so much? It takes some inner strength. You got to love yourself. You got to believe in yourself in order for you to persevere and be able to accomplish so much. Now, this child, no one told that child that they couldn't do it. So that's why that child was able to do it. When you take children and you tell them that they can't do this, they can't do that, you're not empowering them, you're empowering yourself, making yourself feel like the superior one. But once those children come together and they are connected with the right person or people, they begin to believe in themselves. And once they believe in themselves, they begin to achieve more. People love to throw dirt on autistic children. Oh, they're this, they're that. Because you don't understand them, you can say all that you want to say. But if you understood them, you would realize that they have been a gift to society since we became more conscious of who they were, or who they are, excuse me. Once society begins to embrace people with special needs, you're going to realize that they don't really have the special needs like you think they do. They have the special gift, and you ought to be allowing them their abilities and not trying to put them in a box. For no one really belongs in a box, because everyone that God sent here has certain gifts. Once you wake up and realize that and accept people for who they are, then we'll be able to function better as a society. It is so lovely being you. You're so unique.